Welcome back to our series of dating horror stories. If you thought the last one was scary, get ready to be even more terrified. In this next installment, we'll be sharing stories that will make you question why you ever downloading a dating app in the first place. From catfishing to stalking, these tales will have you on the edge of your seat and thinking twice about swiping right. So buckle up, grab your popcorn, and get ready for the next part of our bone-chilling journey through the world of online dating. This is the series that may make you delete all the dating apps from your phone. So, without any further ado, let's dive into these stories. Story 1. As a young man, I had my fair share of online dating experiences. Some good, some bad. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened when I met Kylie on Match.com. After a few weeks of chatting online, we decided to meet up at my apartment. I wasn't expecting anything serious, just a casual hangout with someone new. But from the moment she arrived, something felt off. Kylie seemed distant, almost numb, as if she was in a trance. We spent the evening chatting in my room, but every time I tried to spark a new conversation, Kylie would go silent and stare blankly at the wall. As the night wore on, I started to feel uneasy, like I was in the presence of someone dangerous. But the real horror began when I woke up in the middle of the night and found Kylie gone. I searched the apartment, but she was nowhere to be found. That's when I heard strange noises coming from downstairs, like someone muttering to themselves. I cautiously made my way down to the kitchen, and there she was, sitting in a chair facing the wall. Her eyes were wide and glassy, and she was muttering incoherently to herself. I tried to talk to her, but she just ignored me and kept on muttering. At this point, I knew I had to get her out of my apartment. I went back up to my bedroom to call for help, but when I looked up, Kylie was standing at my door. In the dim light, I could see her thin frame and wild eyes. Suddenly, she charged at me, screaming like a madwoman. She lunged at me and put her hands around my throat, trying to strangle me. I fought back with all my strength, trying to overpower her and protect myself. In the end, I was able to subdue her and call for the police. They took her away, and I never saw or heard from her again. Looking back on that night, I realized that I put myself in a dangerous situation by meeting someone from an online dating site in my own home. It was a mistake that could have cost me my life. So if you're thinking about meeting someone online, please be careful. Always meet in a public place and trust your instincts. You never know who you might be inviting into your life and what kind of horrors they might bring with them. Story 2. For most of my life, I've been single. I never really minded it, but there were times when I found myself wanting some casual fun, especially during the dead of winter, when it's not easy to have fun outside. So, like many people, I turned to dating apps. I've been using these apps for a long time, and I'd met some strange people before, but nothing could have prepared me for what happened in last year's February. One day, I was using the app as usual. At any given time, I'd be messaging at least 5 different girls, just because I knew that 9 out of 10 conversations would end up dying. However, one conversation remained going strong, and the girl's name was Maria. And every time I heard that triple note and the Badoo notification said that Maria sent me a new message, I actually got a little excited. I asked her if she was going to hang out tonight, and she said yes and asked for my address. I gave it to her without hesitation and asked for her number so we could text. But she didn't reply after a few minutes. The app said she was offline, which was normal when someone wasn't active for a few minutes. So I thought she'd be back soon, and waited patiently while I went back to watching TV. I kept checking the app to see if she came back online, but they got offline an hour later, and it was getting a bit late for her to come back. Plus, I was a bit tired, so I figured it wasn't going to happen that night. The next morning, I woke up early to the sound of rain outside. It was still a bit dark, and I looked at the clock. It was 6:30 in the morning, and I was thankful it wasn't like 11 and I was able to go back to sleep. However, I chose to open my phone to check if there were any new text messages. That's when I saw some notifications from Badoo. I opened the app while rubbing my eyes, and that's when I saw it. A message from Maria that said, "I'm here." I felt an uneasy feeling in my chest and head, and immediately looked out the window to see if anyone was hiding in the bushes outside. I closed the blinds and typed, "Who the hell is this?" 10 seconds later, I got the disturbing message, "Check your closet." I froze. I looked across my room to the closet door that I knew was closed last night. The door was now ajar. I was so shocked I could hardly breathe. Then, the door opened very slowly, revealing the dark interior of the closet. I started yelling for my dad. I had to run past the closet to get out of my room. When I got to my dad's bedroom, I found the bed empty. That's when I realized my stupid self didn't lock my window the night before. Things made a little more sense now, but I was still scared. I called the police, and they came to check things out. I showed them the messages on the app, hoping they could trace the person. But apparently it wasn't that easy. You would need court orders for Badoo to be required to disclose user information. Story 3. After my first breakup at 21, I found myself single again after being in a relationship for years. It took some time for me to get used to being on my own again, but eventually I decided to start dating. I downloaded a bunch of dating apps, but the one I used the most was OkCupid. I matched with a girl named Brenna, who I vibed with based on her interests and bio. I was especially drawn to the fact that she was a very pretty black girl with light skin. We chatted for a while, and decided to go out for food. I arrived at her house on the west side of town at about 6:30, just as the sun had set. I texted Brenna, but it took her a while to respond. She eventually texted back, apologizing that her brother was being overprotective and would meet me outside. I wasn't thrilled about meeting her brother, but I didn't want to make things awkward, so I agreed. As I waited in my car, her brother walked out of the house and introduced himself. He seemed friendly enough, and we chatted for a bit. Then, he asked me to come inside to meet Brenna. I followed him into the house and waited in the living room, while he went upstairs to get her. As I waited, I noticed two men sitting on the couch in the living room, and another man in the dining room staring at me. Something about their gaze made me uneasy. Suddenly, one of them nodded at me, and another yelled to grab me. Instinctively, I grabbed the doorknob and flung the door open, running to my car. I barely made it to my car before the men were outside, kicking and trying to break my windows. I was able to drive away and make it home safely, but the incident left me shaken. When I told my parents about what happened, they were shocked but not surprised. They urged me to report the incident to the police, which I did. One of the neighbors corroborated my story and saw the group attacking my car. The police were able to arrest 3 of the 4 men involved. And after that terrifying experience, I was much more cautious when it came to dating apps. I learned that it's important to trust your gut and not ignore any red flags. I refrained from doing anything, but thankfully after a long week of sleeping in fear, nothing happened. I was able to move on with my life, but I never forgot. In the end, I'll just say that everyone should stay cautious when using dating apps, and be mindful of red flags to avoid potential danger.